who are you protecting out there? And when you're standing on point, when you get your little certification, you leave here today. If you don't have your card today, everybody will leave here today. If you pass the test, I don't assume anybody will not pass the test. But when you leave here today, you'll be a certified flagger. So when you leave here, and tomorrow, if somebody puts you on flagging duty, your supervisor puts you on flagging duty, who are you protecting? Everybody. Well, that's pretty general. That's pretty general. So if we say everybody, who's some people? Public, absolutely. People driving down the roadway, that's part of it. Who else? Work. Somebody said work. Who said workers? Workers, absolutely. Who else? Yourself, absolutely. Number one, you got to protect number one, right? Because you're the first line of defense. If you go down, then what else? Then nobody else is going to be protected, right? So there's lots of people. You're that first line of defense. Who's the most important person on the job? The flagger. That's right. You got to protect the workers, protect the motorists, and provide positive guidance. Now, we all know this. It's a top secret thing. I don't know, for you guys that are new to TDOT. That we're recording this. I have to be real careful. I hope Jeff don't put this out for the public, but the motorists, they're not the smartest drivers out there. They're really not. So here, it's a top secret thing. So Jeff, please don't put this on. Please don't publish it. The guidance that we had to provide, you got to really hold their hand. You've got to take my son, whew, bless his heart. You got to get him from here, and you got to say, hey, when you get to here, you've got to get all the way around there. So this lane is closed. So you got to go. How do I get? I got to go over here. I got to get in this lane, and I'm in the wrong lane. I'm in the wrong lane. Now I got to go over here and go around this. And it's some of it don't make sense, right? How many of them have seen? We had a job. I worked construction for 15 years. We had a bridge job on West Hills, and the bridge was gone. The bridge was out. There was no bridge. So we had top 3 barricades, which are the barricades you had, like the 3 bars on them. Up from that, we had concrete barrier rail, just enough room in the barrier rail for a car to barely slip into, where they had their construction equipment to go in and out. From that, we had a crane that was out there setting beams and stuff for the construction folks, and so they're out there working. And there's we look, and there's this lady honking her horn. Like, what in the world is going on? And so this lady's honking her horn. I mean, this little lady, she's laying on the horn. So we walk back there and it's like, what is going on? And she's like, y'all got to move. She's like, I've got to get to the grocery store. And she had come in and scraped the entire side of her car down that barrier rail. I mean, I'm talking about a scrape. I'm talking about a gash down the side of her car, and was trying to get across. She's trying to get us to move the crane so she could get across the bridge that was not there, so she could get to the grocery store. That's the mentality of something, because they take one route. And that's the mentality that we're dealing with. And we know people like it. I mean, that's what we're dealing with. So it's provide positive guidance. And so we're dealing with people like that. And so it's tough. You got to remember that a lot of the decisions that you make and things that we'll have to do are dealing with life or death. So we got to get them right. And so the decisions that you make can mean life or death. And now you say, well, I'm just doing a flagging operation. It's just some silly little thing. I hate this job. I hate being a flagger. But the decisions you make may mean life or death for whoever's driving through. It may mean life or death for the guys that are here. It may mean life or death for you. So it's important that we get it right, right? It's important. Who's the most important person on the job? The flagger, absolutely. All right. Quick little video, how things can turn bad real quick.
We were doing snow removal operations. I had the northbound lane stopped. My partner had the southbound lane stopped. And he was released the southbound lane. And I turned to make sure the southbound lane was flowing freely and waving them through. And a lady came from a frontage road, and she clipped me. And I took my eyes off traffic. In that split second of me taking the eyes off the traffic, I got hit.
So how quick does it take for an accident to happen? Like that, just like that. And we know if you've ever been in an accident, it just takes for that little sausage biscuit to fly off your leg, and you look back up, like, I'm right in. Just that quick is how things happen. So we know accidents can happen very, very quickly. What are some if you were supervisor number 1, if you were like, hey man, they put me in this position, I'm supervisor extraordinaire, and now I get to pick Qualifications. I get to pick. I'm getting to pick my my number one flagger. I want to put my numero uno guy or gal in that position. What are some qualifications that you want that person to have?
Alert all the time.
Alert all the time. What was them over?
Alert.
Alert. What else? What's that? Communication skills. I like that.
Common sense.
Common sense, which is what? Not very common these days, right? They ain't teaching that one in school, right? What's some other things?
Patient.
Patient. Yeah, you got to be patient, right?
Got a level head on their shoulders. They don't flip out over little stuff.
You got to be calm, right? Be level-headed. I like that one. Absolutely.
Easily distracted.
Not easily distracted. Squirrel. Squirrel. Right. Right.
Decision maker.
Good decision maker. Absolutely. All these are good. Something else?
Somebody's gonna stay awake.
Yeah, you got to be. You don't want the guy that's been out here that worked asphalt all night, putting down asphalt, and they say, "Hey, Joe over here put down asphalt on now. Let's bring him in and put him on flagging duty for that day." Because who's the most important person on the job? The flagger. All right. So you want Joe out here? He's been putting down asphalt all day. So he's out there leaning on the flag. I can't hardly stay awake because what? Got to be alert. Got to have common sense. Because he's making decisions that impact everybody, right? What's some other things? Some other things. Anything else?
Stand there for a while.
Yeah. Or what else? What might you have to do? If you're right here, we've already talked about some things. Right. You don't want your biggest, you don't want the big, no. We got some portly fellas and gals. I don't want to discriminate, but I'm not going to call them out. So we don't want your biggest guy that can't make 3 steps without getting out of breath, because what happens? What may be the case? You may have to move, right? You may, because we'll talk about an escape route before the day is over. You may have to get out of Dodge in a hurry. You may, because we'll talk about you, because if an errant car, if that car comes through and they're looking down on their phone, and if they are over on the white line this way, not paying attention, where you got to go? You got to get out. And you don't want to run this way, right? You got to get out of Dodge. So those are some qualifications. Sense of responsibility, average intelligence combined with good sense, common judgment. We mentioned those. Good physical condition, including sight and hearing. We got to be able to kind of see our surroundings. Mental alertness. We got all those, courteous but in firm manner. Neat appearance. Why is neat appearance? And why is that? Yeah. Who's the first person they're going to see on the job? Yeah. Do we want them wearing a big Budweiser t-shirt? Probably not. Probably not a good advertisement for T-Dots. Probably not the one we want to show. Now, we'll talk about this, and everybody has one of these on your table. We moved your old thing over there, but we'll see it later. Does everybody know what this is? It's the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Now, we'll talk about this. We'll take a break here in just a minute. We're real close. It's the Manual on Uniform Traffic. This has everything you need to know about traffic control, and gives you, and I don't mean any sacrilege, so don't take me wrong on this, but this is your traffic control Bible, if you'll have it that way. There's good stuff in here about, it gives guidance on any kind of lane closures and temporary traffic control, and this is just this is part 1, 5, and 6. The actual manual is much thicker, but this is the part that we deal with most commonly. So it deals with flagging. There's a portion there on that. So that has basically a lot of the guidance that we use for basically anything. In the back, there's some really good stuff. The tough part on this, they don't print many of these anymore because the last time, and this, if you'll see right here, this is the 2009 edition. What year is it? 2017, right? This is the last print edition. Then they'll have a few of these that have like it's 2012, I think was the last time they updated. Does anybody remember that? I think it was the last time they updated it. So there are a few additions from there, but very little additions that they change, just very minor things. So you might find some print copies that have right here. I think there's a picture of it in the presentation. So what they want you to do is to find it online. Usually, if most everybody has a smartphone, there's an app, there's PDF copies, and it's much easier to search it, whatever. The best thing about this, and we'll talk about it a little bit, is all these diagrams and all these different things that find most of the scenarios that you'll run into. Do you think that every scenario that you're going to run into in East Tennessee and everywhere is in here? No. But there is a lot of positive guidance in here. So that's our kind of our go-to guide.